starting with this series of Xchange Talk, wherein we are going to talk about a lot of different topics related to the HR world. A very hot question, and that we read everywhere, is how is HR leveraging technology?
Once HR is driving and he has to adopt the right technology and the right tool so that the things move in a bigger space.
There's a plethora of HRMS solutions available in the market. Which one would suit my needs and my organization needs and the kind of talent that I have in my organization?
As an organization, you need to understand when you talk about metrics, what metrics are you looking at? What is the need of organization? What is your policy processes and your guidelines that you want as an organization?
Talking about technology in general. So the budgets in technology really came in after they realized that there is a strong need of making a change and all these work from home concepts came in. Even now they were existing, but they were massively adopted.
First mindset is that it will replace human beings, but no one is ready to learn the new skill set which is required to access that technology.
These are the advantages which an organization can actually leverage and reduce their errors.
Just want to touch on those points where you increase the employee communication. I mean, we have Slack available now, we have Microsoft Teams available now, we have Zoom available now.
HR for HR, how often we care about our teams, because HR is a department, ad hoc requests बहुत ज़्यादा आते हैं and sometimes the work is very manual, very transactional in nature.
Agility and adaptability are two important key to bring in any platform in any organization. It's just not the budget. Acceptance from the leadership team to follow it on themselves also is very important.
That's situation analysis. Probably.
These roundtable conferences really contribute in terms of ideas, in terms of insights, in terms of people-driven strategies which can be built back from an organization and add value.
Warm welcome again, and thank you so much for traveling for this first session of Xchange Talk. So we are starting with this series of Xchange Talk, wherein we are going to talk about a lot of different topics related to the HR world. And the first topic today, as we had shared with all of you as well, is building and scaling high-impact people strategies in a digital-first world. And how I look at this topic is that the digital-first world is the keyword here. And tech is rewriting the norms for every function, including HR. And this may be a cliche, but this seems like a reality, right? And tech has shifted gears from being an enabler to taking the driving seat and is rewriting the norms for every function. Generative AI has already added new dimensions, and the world is now already talking about artificial general intelligence in the near future, right? So all in all, tech is a game changer for growing organizations and is helping scale people strategies without reducing the impact. So this is how I understand the topic, and this is what we are going to discuss today, and I am going to take all of your opinions on that and views on that. So I'll start with Mr. Hiresh, right? So Hiresh, on this very topic, a very hot question, and that we read everywhere, is how is HR leveraging technology, the latest technology, in driving key people metrics? So I would be requesting you if you can share your thoughts as to anything that you have seen firsthand, which is unique or innovative practices of the usage of technology in the domain of HR.
Many thanks, Aswati, and very good question. See, HR is always a driving force, and choosing the right technology for the right people is always a challenge.
Very true.
So once you have to define the metrics, and technology is a tool. So understand you have to have defining the organization value, where mission, vision, where you want to achieve. So once HR is driving and he has to adopt the right technology, the right tool, so that the things move in a breaker space.
Absolutely.
So technology you're choosing, because n number of technological products are available in the market, but you need to really get the customization of things. You have to put your insights with it, because technology will not drive people, people will drive the technology.
Very good.
So in that, what I have observed is sometimes HR may get failed to choosing, or while they they choose the right product, but implementation, once they deep into, they don't know about how to implement
Very true.
and how to drive the thing through technology.
Very
And
true.
sometimes when the technology becomes the challenge, or they have their own limitation, it's the complete organization. So it is very important whether it's a AI tool or it's a HR tool or it's a you can say that any recruitment tool, any HR operations tool, any PMS tool, or any driving tool, or any analytics tool, maybe a Tableau or everything, or which with the you can do the predictive analysis for the future. Sometimes you have to decide the future. Future is going to change at a very rapid pace, but how you have to cope up, that you have to decide with the management and then choose the technology.
Amazing. Amazing.
Just to add in that, right? So those nuances will always be there. The right kind of technology for the right kind of organization, for the right kind of talent, right? So we have to map that. So of course, this is just common sense. There's a plethora of HRMS solutions available in the market. Which one would suit my needs and my organization needs and the kind of talent that I have in my organization, right? So of course, demos are available. You customize it, you hyper personalize it. And that's where you arrive. Of course, there's another factor to cost optimization, the ROI which comes from the management, what is the efficiency, what is the budget, what is the cost impact on it. So I think all those factors being taken into account is when you decide which HRMS will work correctly for my organization, which is going to be user friendly, which is going to be cost effective, which is prevailing in the market, which will suit the right needs and map it across and have it work. So
I just adding one line. I was just working with, for last 3.5 months, I was advising one manufacturing concern.
Amazing.
So complete transformation of their HR processes.
Amazing.
Trust me, I will not tell the name, but I have gone to the demos of almost 8 to 9 HRMS softwares. Only single HRMS software has got the complete reports as per the manufacturing factories act for the manufacturing. The kind of when government has interfered and you have certain acts, even HRMS and companies does not have that bandwidth to create customized the forms and format which government would like to see. वो निकलता है लेकिन उसके ऊपर हेडिंग नहीं है, वो नहीं, गवर्नमेंट को लेना देना नहीं है. Government does not interfere. What technology you are using, what are your internal values? Government policies, government acts are running on their own track.
Correct.
I agree with what Dinesh is saying. See, as an organization, you need to first
I had
understand.
a fight with many of the people. My partner, can you create this? Can you create this? मतलब complete HR package was good except these MIS. Leave register नहीं government के साथ में. आप अपना
First, we need to understand what is your ask, what is your need. So first, as an organization, you need to understand when you talk about metrics, what metrics are you looking?
That's what I see.
What is the need of the organization? What is your policy processes and your guidelines that you want as an organization? Once you are prepared with your checklist and your need, then you search for an HRMS forum. Then only you'll be successful. I've seen an IT company failing 4 times for an HRMS. There was no shortage of budget. There was ample amount of money. It was a startup organization.
Policies
and we changed the HRMS.
processes are not available.
No, sir, I'll tell you. We changed the HRMS 4 times because we were evolving. We were a startup, right? So, abhi kya mila? What we said that we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we were happy with that. But as we grew, we increased in number. All of a sudden, an appraisal came in, and we realized, we need an appraisal form also. And this does not provide change that HRMS. Another budget came in, we changed. So we did not decide what is our ask, what is our need. So there is where we failed as from implementing the technology. So technology is available, but as rightly said, right thing at right time for the right place is very important. And as an HR people, we should decide first what is our ask. Yes.
True.
And that is true for all our segments. We talk about recruitment, we talk about employee engagement, we talk about your
operations. Add in there. So we all HR leaders sitting here, we all know the gaps in HR. It's either talent acquisition or it's HR talent management. And I've broadly defined what you call it, HR business partnering, you call it grievance handling, you call it confirmations, you call it HR ops, all that jazzy words that we have. it's divided into
These
two
are all
basic
relevant,
parts.
but HR will be
Only basically two big heads, right? Recruitment, which is your talent acquisition, or it's your talent management, which is your HR. So you cover your performance management, you cover your exit management, you cover your compensation, you cover your exit analysis, your attrition analysis, your predictive analysis, all those jazzy words which I said, and your HR dashboards, right? So that's what I said. All modules will not be available in all HR, right? We can customize it. We can tell the IT source vendor partner, please build in the system, I will embed it. But then yes, choosing the right HRMS, which I know in the future is my PMS model will come on in the future.
And trust me, HRMS service providers do a lot of transformation and they change their portfolio. They come up with introduced pages for you also. Customization is there. They do not say a clear no.
XRMS is not only a record keeping system, but as it based on the AI tools, it gives you certain reports or certain analysis. I have been interviewed certain recently with a PhD company. So once my interview was that they have sent me an AI report. Or I think they were 3 pages report, what I did, what I did, what was my emotional connect, what was my professional connect, what was my job knowledge. So it happens like so you interviews are because what happened is we are only adopting the traditional system of the interview. ठीक है CV आया, किया interview किया, sheet भरा, हुआ नहीं हुआ बता दी. But what about what next?
So you know what? I had thought that I'll first talk about what are the transformations that technology is bringing in. But I can very well understand that people have seen a lot of challenges firsthand and hence are very passionate about the challenges. So the challenges piece was coming next, right?
I think you all have talked about the challenge, but I think the topic that we started the discussion with was technology and strategic tools that are required in the field of HR. So I think the biggest need that started was the post-COVID era. We all became the adopters of technology, and some became leaders of technology.
So I like to cut in there.
Suddenly,
Work from home was always existing. Not in India, but it was outside.
But and it
came into being when Kimberly Clark was losing its women leadership. Why? For the fact because they were new mothers and they wanted to go for lead. So they didn't want to take a hit on their women leadership, and that's how they got work from home strategy built. And that's how it got indicated.
I think he's alluding to bigger things. Yeah.
I'm talking about technology in general. Right? So the budgets in technology really came in after they realized that there is a strong need of making a change, and all these work from home concepts came in. Even after they were existing, but they were massively adopted. Right? So the huge shift to technology happened. Not that these things were not happening, not that we didn't have the bigger HRMS products already prevailing in the market. Right? I talk about the use of tech, giving you some core examples of how these things were really being adopted by us. A simple example. How many applications does an organization receive? And how much time does an individual really have to go through all those applications? Today we are using AI tools smartly to actually go through dozens and dozens of CVs.
Thousands of CVs.
And I'll give you an example of my own organization without naming the organization. We are receiving 1,500 plus applications every day. Every day. I have maybe 200 recruiters, but for every position I may have about 500 plus applications. Humanly impossible to document, download that. What we are doing is simply using AI to summarize each CV in 2 lines and whether it fits into our tools or not. And very smartly we are able to identify the right candidates for us. And that's how adoption of technologies happens. And this is just the start, the beginning. But how you are onboarding the folks, how you are going through their employee life cycle, like ma'am mentioned, about the talent management and usage of technology in different phases, shows the advancement levels of the technology that we are using in the organization and the maturity. Of course, it's important. Budget is management call, but it's very important to identify what is the vision of the organization, which product or what are our needs, core needs, and what are the top priorities for the organization.
So it comes down to basically
No.
what is right for us rather than what is called as complete.
No, but a very transformative, I would say, a use case also that we talked about, right? And I think along with the challenges, these are the transformative use cases that we all hear and read about as well, right? So, I'd like to take a pause because two more guest members have joined us, right? So let me quickly introduce both of them, and then we will continue the session, right? So Mr. Shubhendu and Mr. Mayank, my name is Asim Jamil, right? So hi, and very warm welcome. My question to all the panel members was, how is HR leveraging the technology and the latest tech tools to drive the key people metrics? And what we started to discuss with were a few challenges that the organizations are facing in terms of leveraging the latest tech. We also discussed some great use cases, right? And Samir talked about some great use cases in the domain of recruitment and how they are screening the loads of CVs that they are receiving, right, on an everyday basis. So I would like to invite other members as well, so to share their thoughts on the kind of transformative use cases for how the technology is being leveraged to drive key people metrics before I move to the next segment. So, Nitin, any thoughts that you have on this?
So on the HRMS front, probably first of all, as I was saying, this is the thing called as perfect or complete. It's about the need and a combination of budget. I'm come from the business perspective as well. I'll probably put in that as well first. Yeah, and also at the same time, whatever it is, you'll probably find this is what is matching my needs best at the moment. After a couple of years, 2-3 साल बाद आप सोचोगे यार, this probably is not the best for us, but अभी change नहीं कर सकते. So for next 2 years, you will do that system.
Correct,
and,
sunk cost.
Yeah. So and after that, probably next, so you try to make some applications, some plugins and all that. यार अपना ये वाला part जो इसमें cover नहीं हो रहा है, probably we'll use it externally, we'll pull some data and stuff, and then maybe after 4-5 years, anyway you'll say now it is not matching within 30-40% of our need. Let's move on to next. Yeah. So that's what the typical cycle I've seen towards side of it.
So since we have talked so much about the failed endeavors of HRMS implementation, right? So anybody who
I would not call it failed. That's typical cycle for anything.
That's a
typical
transformation of
cycle.
HRMS.
Okay, I agree.
What happens, like what I have experienced basically is HRMS partner fails to understand the business sometimes. So, and they don't want to take the joint responsibility of implementing. The tech implementation is one part. Understand once they does not understand the business because salesperson will sell you the product. Implementation partner will be always different. So what I have experienced is that any HRMS tool partner first has to understand business. In one of the company, I called them and for the 2 days or 3 days session, kickoff meeting cannot be done online. It can be or it cannot be. But what I did was I called them in my company. I completely reversed their travel costs and this cost, that cost. I arranged their state because they were out of the city. So complete understanding of the business, I have taken to my construction sites, taken them to because it was another ERP. Then only now you start earning because you will be understanding what the terminology that we are using and how the metrics are being flow because that is only what you can say approval metrics is always getting failed whenever you sometimes you have to have one approval, two approval, three approval, reverse approval, cost approval, that approval. These things until unless are decided, HRMS partner also have to have under complete understanding of the business before implementing. So chances of failure are the risk of getting covered.
So I would like to add something. Firstly, it's an honor to sitting in such great leaders. For my experience, it's been hardly a year that I have started working, but now actually I got that point you were talking about. I'm so sorry. So when we were talking in my last organization, we were trying to implement the automation thing in the operation portions. Like what we used to do it, we were having a format of a certain document and we are just doing like erasing the earlier name and writing the new name. So I took the initiative that we should initiate the automation process so that we can actually minimize our errors, because when you're doing things like manually, then there are lots of chances of errors. So I initiated the idea, then I said to my VP HR, then he talked to the IT team. So what again and again was happening was the miscommunication. The HR had thought that I had delivered my best, what I could do, and IT team was always the one who was not able to get it what you were trying to do and what you actually wanted. So what I think the approval thing, I don't know why in HR or the domain also, the main thing we lack is the approval. Like we need to take this, like for the basic thing also, like you want to do anything, like we were working on the appointment letter and it took around 1 year to implement it and still there was no changes. And apart from this, like some HR are not ready to change themselves. Like they are stick to the old methodologies also, they don't want to try new things.
Accessibility and adaptation is also a challenge.
That's very
And also training people.
Yeah.
Because we were talking use cases.
Yes.
So again, sorry, if you want to continue.
Actually, I want to actually.
Yeah.
So this was something like we tried the automation process, but it failed many times, and the only reason was that they were not clear. Like attention to detail was missing. Like they used to deliver it and they wanted the application in the next month. But what the again and again thing was missing, that they should say in a proper way that what they're actually looking for. Then only the IT guy can understand. So this is something that people in HR sometimes feel like, let us complete what we are doing, then we'll focus on the next project. So that willingness to work and to willingness to adapt to new things are somewhere missing, and the learning and development portion for, especially for HR, is not that much up to date. Like from my experience where I have worked on, like you will be giving the trainings for the IT team, like the Salesforce team, but when it's come to HR, we are more of orthodox. Like when we are coming to working and we are not data driven, we are not technology driven, and that is something we are lagging behind and we should initiate. Like when we talk about technology, it is mostly like that people will be replaced by technology, and we are not thinking in a way that use technology in a certain way that it can minimize our work and we can do it more efficiently. Like this is what I think.
Technology never replace people, it will never eat the job. It will
always
shift of jobs.
Relevant fear that people have.
Technology replaces people who do not use
technology.
technology.
On a different tangent, right?
Please.
So transformation will always be there. And of course, right, we've grown as individuals. We were in school, we were in our comfort zone, we went to college, we were in our comfort zone, and then we grew in our organizations, right? So just touching on those points and all. So transformation and learning is an ongoing journey, and so is transformation. So we have to adapt ourselves to the tools, right? The old format of the open letter will not work anymore. I have to train people to it. I have to get used to technology. How many of us knew mobile phones? So we have to get used to it.
Technology and AI will not take your job.
It will
Rather,
not
not
take your
getting engaged with this technology will take out your job.
It will make your job easier, it will streamline processes, it will be more efficient, it will be more cost productive, it will enhance efficiency. I think that's how I sum it up.
Yeah, but when it comes to technology, what people first mindset is that it will replace human beings. But no one is ready to learn the new skill set which is required to access that technology.
That is precisely what
I
you
tell you
right.
about,
Makes sense.
and I
Yes.
tell you again, we're talking use cases, right? So technology and use case. My favorite topic, right? So I want to just give you an example of technology and how people, really feared that their jobs will be lost. And I'm talking pre-World War II era.
Oh man.
So I'll give you an example. Where Europeans actually mathematics teachers started their strike. And why did they start the strike? Because the invention of calculator happened. Okay, so what happened? Mathematics teachers thought, what is our use? No, this chota sa device is going to take away our jobs. You know what actually happened over the next 5 years? And if you study detail about the evolution of calculator and how it became a scientific calculator, then there was more calculator, then that whole thing was into a computer, then to a mobile phone today. You're carrying it, like you mentioned, we are evolving with technology. None of the jobs may replace.
No.
I mean, it was just a fear in the mind of people.
It's just making it easier.
Invention of computers.
Smart.
Invention of computers.
True, true.
So in 2000 era, let's say 25 years back, when this computerization was done, and all the government banks has introduced the VRS system. Why? Because people were really not ready to adopt the change management. They still wanted to have pen, pencil, wahi khata and all.
They were trained, they were not given training, and they
And that is why this
Even after training, they don't want to adopt.
SBI have a lot of VRS to people.
and that is why this term of change management, the onus and responsibility of which is also on the leadership, not just tech transformation, but change management along with it. So I would now request Mayank to please help share your thoughts. So my primary question was around the different use cases, right? And we have navigated two challenges as well. So anything which is more relevant for your experience or you feel passionate about, right, out of these two, we would love to hear your thoughts.
First of all, it's good to know so many victims of HRMS systems. I thought I was the only one paying for a long time, but I guess the feeling is for a lot of people. So one thing that I wanted to share when the topic was going about from the HRMS part, then I will go to the use cases. With HRMS partners, what I've seen, the problem is both on the client side and on their side. With their side, what I have seen post-COVID, some of these, especially the Indian-led HRMS software, they scaled a lot. But proportionately, they didn't build those kind of capabilities, and now they are suffering because of overcommitments. Because when their sales team will come to you, they promise the world to you, okay, आप बस बताओ, 2 दिन में तैयार करके दीजिए, बस बताओ आपको क्या चाहिए. Exactly. But there's a huge disconnect. So you will be talking to someone else, and then there will be a third technical guy. And since I have started a tech startup, now I know technology doesn't work like a magic wand. Okay, आपने बोल दिया तो 5 दिन में हो जाएगी. This is where I feel client side से जो issue होता है कि sometimes we are very ambitious in terms of and it has happened a lot with me personally because the kind of leadership I was working with, it does दिन में system तैयार करना है. So although the HRMS system do tell they are flexible, but at their backbone, बहुत सारे उनके systems rigid ही हैं. That's why we are always chasing time. We are pressurizing them. They are pressurizing us, and it's a mess. So I guess दोनों sides से थोड़ा point है. In terms of use cases, when the whole ChatGPT and all these things started, two things that I did. I was working on a project for recruiters' competencies, and some of our recruiters were really bad at writing changes. So simple thing I told them, आप लिखो ChatGPT पर डाल दो और एक prompt डाल देना, make it more effective and grammatically correct. This is how I started the practical implementation. Then when I was leading the performance side, I was evaluating some of the tools. Now this is where I feel the technology has gone बहुत आगे और business थोड़ा पीछे चल रहा है because the tools were saying we will do a sentiment analysis of what the manager is saying to the employee, उसके basis पे rating आ जाएगी. So the manager is supposed to schedule the meeting
Previously, on the we used to say that employee satisfaction or get sentiment kind of service.
the
So that is this term is known as now the sentiment.
So yeah, so what they told me, the tool also was very costly, but the tool told कि हम यहीं पे meetings करेंगे, everything, not only the feedback meeting, every communication will happen on the tool. Basis the communication, we will do the sentiment analysis, and over a period of time, let us say 3 to 5 years, we'll also tell who is eligible for promotion and who is not eligible for promotion. But this is where I feel
Sentiment based basically career planning and succession planning.
exactly. So the thought is good, but this is where I feel एक disconnect होता है. So I was working in the Reliance back in 2017, and मैं plant में था तब. Plant के managers की आदत रहती थी कि वो resume का भी print out मंगवाते थे, उस पे feedback देते थे और हम भी system में डाल देते थे काम पे. And the company built a very strong tool that time 2017 में कि इसी पे आपको communication इसी पे करना है, सब इसी पे होना है. And I gave the feedback to the corporate team that plant में नहीं चलेगा. And they said, आप लोगों को चलाना है, ये HR की जिम्मेदारी है. I understand, but they are more worried about
Adaptability also.
They are more worried about कि plant में production रुका हुआ है, maintenance होगा या नहीं. So somewhere I feel we have to manage our pace well. There are a lot of fancy tools available, and every company has a
It's at a very different maturity level. So I was working at Tata. It was working more like a startup. Maybe some other Tata company which is way more mature, they can think of implementing a very fancy tool, but we can't. So this is why I feel our key company just maturity level पे है. उसके हिसाब से you need to pick and choose the use cases.
The
Very
first
true.
part,
I would like to discuss one.
requirement gathering and requirement analysis are both are different.
The right kind of HR is
Very true.
And when we say like AI, right, when you're talking about a lot in LI and reading and these aspects. But when we are going to upload any resume in our English or anything in student review, parsing the resume is not an AI concept. Right? How will I identify
But AI has transformed it like anything.
They transform it. But
Yeah.
when it comes to taking certain details from the resume, I'm just taking the equipment or talent business aspects. If I am not looking into LinkedIn profile, I'm not going to look at the surface end. If somebody is not updating anything similar to that concept. Now, taking 500 applicants and identifying the right person, we need something the system should understand our environment and environment. We found a lot of.
But when we talk about AI in screen resuming, like I have worked in a real estate industry where people do have experiences, but they do not know how to actually update their resume. So in that scenario, AI somewhere get fails because he will be judging, AI will be judging that person on the basis of the resume, but that person would be having more than what he has actually done apart from his resume.
This is
the risk.
So earlier, what it was the keyword.
No, but see, in that CV screening, anyways, even if a person is reading the resume, even in that case, they will not get it.
No, but when we are into some industry, we get some idea. Like if the person has worked in this organization or that organization, but have not written its key points, like we get the sense of it. Like
To get a job, write your resume correctly and accurately is the first
Exactly.
part. If you're not mentioning what you're doing in your resume, nobody can help you. Your name doesn't attract.
People write their job description, not their resume.
Yeah.
It has to be reversed.
Yeah.
And I just want to share one experience. Recently, I come to talk about it, and it's one of the positive experiences I would say. It's not like that we are just using AI to just screen the resume. Manually, we have checked that. And there's a recently case one person which voted on the client side. So there's a huge gap in the skills, but that's how manual things work. You talk, you discuss, you understand the profile, you project it, and it's successfully completed.
and empathy cannot be replaced by AI, and that's where the HR stands.
Exactly. So nothing is like we are not using AI or not in that case. So
I think this is the perfect, I would say, scenario. AI or any analytics tool can aid us in decision making, cannot make decisions on our behalf. This is what I think all of us are talking about.
I would like to add to what you're saying. AI is where it is implemented is very important. In a place like what Sameer said, that where he's getting 500 applications, AI can only be his savior there. But where I am doing a search on LinkedIn or maybe Nagarro, there my manual efforts will only count. There AI will not help me. Because there I'm going through putting in my keywords and searching for the resume. Right? So it makes a lot of difference if it is a recruiter searching on a LinkedIn or a Nagarro or any other portal, or you are screened from a lot of resumes which has been poured onto your portal. There only AI can help you. So where are you going to use your generative AI is very important.
So just to sum up there, right? So it's a blend, it's a amalgamation of human touch as well as
an AI.
So bots and bodies will always be there.
Amazing. So I
I also wanted to add my use case. My use case
add to what use cases of we know about ChatGPT. All of us probably might have installed a mobile version of ChatGPT.
So we have already moved to next segment. I'm sorry, I'm interjecting because that was the next segment. Yes, so generative AI and how it is helping.
So
which name
generative AI on how to create job descriptions. I'll give you my own use case. Sometimes empathy that we are we have to write emails, long emails, and I struggle to write empathetic emails sometimes. And what I do is I would say I struggle, but I say I think the right use of AI I use ChatGPT and I just say, please reword this empathetic reply to this for me, and I will not blindly copy paste it. कहते हैं ना नकल जब ये अंदर चाहिए. So you read what it is saying. I will spend some 10 seconds, but it will save my 5-10 minutes of thought process, and it will summarize in beautiful way. And sometimes the answers are really cool, then I use them and I send it to my receiver, and then they are used as the showcases, and they are portrayed everywhere.
No, but Sameer, this has been very helpful. I think I
सामने वाला भी पढ़ के ये बोलता था
10,000 odd developers. Like even startup, when you keep it developers and artists people, no? So these developers and artists, they're not all very good in translation communication. So ChatGPT is a savior for them. They have at least learned to write grammatically correct emails to the clients.
ChatGPT also helps you.
So it's a lifesaver for us and a face-taking situation for at least an IT task.
On the humor side, nowadays the length of the email from the people to the HR and the management has really increased. Just because of
ChatGPT.
It's like a model of 500 words.
Like I'm committed
Twitter office have so many emails which is like comics.
If you know, somewhere around a year back, Google had sent out notice to every website holder that take out all the ChatGPT related reviews that you have on your on your websites, and if they are related, they are going to ban the website, right, Manish?
Yeah,
And what we were doing, we were sitting all day and night in the office and rewriting the entire reviews of our own company's website. So and matching it with a proxy, some website.
That's where the
tell us it only relates 50% with AI,
Yeah,
and then it was reposting it.
So
that our website gets saved.
There's a tool called as Human Leak, which will make AI content to pass the AI test.
Yeah.
So you take the AI content, pass it into the Human Leak.
AI creating AI.
Actually.
Yeah, AI was AI. So there was a situation that
So,
we
so I would request Mr. Captain Shubhendu now.
To create a good test.
If you want to add something on this
It's always towards
aspect that we have been talking about, right, regarding the use cases and the challenges of technology in the HR domain. Would love to hear your thoughts.
So, I will like to highlight how senior management recruitments have changed drastically. Now, whatever we've talked about, these are mass solutions we're talking about, but where you make hiring mistakes and which costs organizations heavily is that one mistake, guy gets on board and then 6 months down the line you realize the entire effort is down. So, typically where we go wrong, go back, all of us have studied in terms of how to take a BEI interview and all that. Qualified, but how many actually make an effort? It actually requires 1 hour of preparation. And none of us has that luxury. 1 hour of preparation means if the interview is 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock, I should be sitting with the CV and slicing and dicing and everything. So that when I meet that person, I'm not looking at a piece of paper. I know it in the back of my mind. Right? True. So now how technology has transformed. So it's taken away that I don't have the luxury, it's given. No one has that luxury of 1 hour. So let's keep the theory aside. It's not possible. So the tool which came very handy, and many organizations actually went for it, video interviews. Right? Video interviews linked to your ATS, stored for perpetuity. True. Now what advantage you get is every round can be significantly different and not repetitive. Go through your personal experiences of clearing 3-4 rounds for a leadership hire. Same questions, little bit language
Different
now no more required. You have the first round, everything recorded in a video interview because now it is like no one needs to travel. It's everything video interview. So, one, obviously the person who's taking the interview is paying more attention in terms of listening rather than noting. That thing is taken off completely. So therefore, when you have visual contact, you actually can catch a person when he is fibbing. Body language. So he will not be able to establish direct eye contact when he starts fibbing. That's not natural human behavior until unless someone is very trained. So those are very few. So the quality of assessments have gone tremendously high. And when it goes high, your chances of making errors are actually reducing. So that's the first round done and dusted. Second round, when you go, suppose if you are following a SHL concept of assessments or whatever. So you just need to go through that recorded version and see where were the cheeks. Keep your questions pointed. So the next round will be like very, very focused. 15 minutes, 20 minutes, maximum half an hour. No repetition. The guy will also feel, wow, the experience is phenomenal. I didn't have to repeat and really intellectually stimulating. So these are the advantages which an organization can actually leverage and reduce their errors. So as a headhunter, I see organizations doing it effectively, especially where growth as well as replacement hirings at a senior level is in large numbers, fairly large numbers. And I'm talking about when you say fairly large numbers means quarterly adding, let's say, 1,000. So there you just can't have a luxury of making any error. Because this I'm talking about not just senior management, but mid-senior and senior.
Right.
So anyone GM and above.
Right.
And like what they say in the government is the bureaucracy which runs the government. So it's the middle management which runs the organization. You may have the CXO sitting there, but if you have two not equivalent to a horse, I don't want to use the exact word because that's technique. But then there goes the CXO and there goes the functional efficiency and delivery. It was very, very important.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We're talking about, of course, the benefits of Gen AI now. Of course, touching on other aspects of HR. I think Gen AI has contributed a lot in terms of employee engagement and productivity. So just want to touch on those points where you're increasing employee communication. I mean, we have Slack available now, we have Microsoft Teams available now, we have Zoom available now. I mean, these are all forums, these are all tools where we get employees collaborating, talking, connecting, building that group cohesion within the organization. And I think it's contributing a lot, increasing the morale, increasing the productivity, increasing the efficiency. Because at the end of the day, I think we all are humans, we can't stay in isolation. We have to interact with each other, and it's always about best practice share. It's always about collectively coming as a group and standing and working towards the vision and the mission of the organization. So I think Gen I is bringing out changes. Of course, the cost factor will always be there. I mean, the cost always will be there. The ROI, how we need to calculate. Every organization will have a different matrix towards it. What are the pros? What are the cons? How do I measure it? What's working for me? What is the right kind of tool? I think that's analysis as HR leaders that we need to do and present it to the management. So we have our take on it.
Amazing.
I'll give them some more insights on use of generative AI. That many IT organizations are already doing it.
Right.
Content marketing. Today's, we are talking about HR, of course, but I also talk about how content marketers are basically using generative AI to completely transform the I would say the whole idea of their organization, of how people interpret their organization, of how people look at it. No longer do you have long content because you use generative AI tools to actually generate content and reels or whatever not. I mean, using these tools. And I'll give you some examples which I personally use, right? I mean, for presentations, we used to take a lot of time, to think through a presentation. Right? Today, Microsoft has enabled Copilot.
Correct.
And you have a wonderful tool called Gamma AI. If you go online, if you search what is Gamma AI, it will help you prepare presentations in a matter of minutes. You only need to feed the content. It will give you images,
True.
God knows what all it. You'll be like, wow, amazing.
Just the logo and the color theme.
The field, and if you just feed in your organizational templates that you might have, it will create everything on its own.
Same way Canvas.
Canvas,
It's not to AI. Everything you
So all
customize.
these are technology-driven
things are there.
Canva is pretty intuitive.
Yeah,
Pretty
and these are things that we need to
And they drastically changed. Look at the Adobe also.
Yeah.
That's also pretty common.
So we need to use them, and these are the tools that will help us drive our efficiency. So efficiency being the keyword here, and technology being your enabler that we were talking about. Right?
So one of the experiments that we are doing at our organization is we do about 500 interviews a month at our organization. So people who are selected and rejected, we always take a post feedback survey which is very customized and say, rate us on the experience, the interview panel, the timings, the questions being asked, and based on that we were able to see one, how is the interview panel doing, which guy selects most, which guy rejects most, and then probably also at the same time which are the most favorite panel, and also if somebody has accepted certain number of people, how those guys have performed later itself. To see the effectiveness of the panel, the experience, probably empathy as somebody talked about. So for example, one of the question of the survey is how empathetic was the interview. I took an interview the day before yesterday. There was a girl who met her mother after 21 years. And at that time, she was selected in the interview, and after that she had to go through a survey. And then one of the things she checked out was that the interviewer was empathetic, because then I got to know the story that her mother and father were separated 20 years back, and the girl was with the father, and then she met the mother after 21 years. So that is one of the factors that really helped us in getting further round of interviews. And the people what we need to improve at our organization, the interviewer level. So these are all human beings; these are not machines. So etc. or the AI interviews cannot take care of those parts actually. So all these have to be incorporated into your organizational practice to make it a better experience for the future.
Emotional intelligence is key, right?
Yeah.
Has to be knowledge. That's what manual things is also somewhere.
One key area that I feel often we miss as HR leaders are HR for HR. How often we care about our team, because HR is a department where ad hoc requests बहुत ज़्यादा आते हैं, and sometimes the work is very manual, very transactional in nature. Can we train our team members to use the AI effectively? Like L&D tools होते हैं, बहुत सारे modules में from scratch तैयार करते हैं. There's a big piece of communication itself where AI can be used. So I guess instead of focusing on the bigger picture, we बड़ा क्या कर सकते हैं, I mean the first focus should always be how can we make our teams more efficient, more effective, maybe उनका थोड़ा workload कम हो सके, we can train them. And I think that was what I was doing in my last role to some extent. The ADP side talked about also the L&D team I worked extensively with them. क्या prompt use करके आप PPTs की outline तो बना लीजिए, फिर content आप डालते रहिएगा अपने हिसाब से. So that's a very good quote I read. AI is not a good writer, but it's a very good critic. So you can use your words, you can then take a very refined version and you can put it on the PPT. So I guess generative AI in any aspect of employee cycle, बहुत सारे जो transactional काम है, वहाँ at least हमारी team का workload तो कम कर ही सकता है.
And from a personal experience, I have to take how technology is enabled. I had a very smaller team for past organization, so I had to do a lot of things with just 4 or 5 people. So onboarding was one thing which was very important piece of job, but again, there was something that I cannot have a one full-time resource, right? Because that's not onboarding everyone.
So I automated most of the thing. The entire induction was automated. It was made online voice thing. The onboarding thing was introduced in PMS, which went to the employee, which went to the candidate, in fact, a week in advance, because I had to fill, the review, check, mail him, scan his photos and everything. So that when the person comes there on day one, it hardly took us 2 to 3 hours just to get his photograph then and there scanned so that it is the same person who we interviewed or not. Because our PMS had the record that this person was interviewed with the photograph and get few documents signed from it which were mandatory, the compliance piece of it, the PFP tag, the offer letter and appointment letter. And within 2 hours, after giving him the welcome kit, we used to transfer him to the project manager. So it was very pleasant experience for that person कि मुझे पूरा दिन बैठा के boardroom में didn't bore me. They did not make me wait for a laptop for the complete day or getting it on the second.
Which used to be the norm, right?
Because our system had an auto-generated, the moment I said onboarding, system auto-generated a request into finance team. They got the bank person ready with the bank paper ready for on the onboarding day. There was a request going to the admin to get the seat ready, the request going to the IT team to get the laptop ready. So we tried with our PMS, the HRMS team, and they automated this system. And the same was done with the exec thing. So a week before when we initiated the exec, there was an automated approval which went to all the division for review dues, so that the last day of the employee goes happily. He doesn't have to actually go door to door searching for his dues and goes out painfully.
It looks awkward, it is any AI tool has created facilities.
So I just want to summarize one thing that technology helps you a lot if you use it in a very planned manner and wherever it is useful.
True,
right?
True. So just to add to what Rashmi has said, in my past experience, what I've seen is we talked a lot about how we could improve on the HRMS implementation and all those. Let me tell you, I had a very different experience. And the different experience was this: we were implementing in my last organization one of the global premier HRMS tools. Companies headquartered in US, one of the biggest ones across the globe. And we were implementing it, and there were challenges even with that HRMS, big challenges, right? And it is the most widely used globally. And but let me also highlight the positive side. It forced us to relook at our own processes.
Yes.
And the processes were not clear to a lot of people. And I was in a conglomerate which is like more than $25 billion group. And even there, the processes were not clear to a lot of people, right? And it forced us. Even to the HR. And it forced us that why are processes so unique for two different business segments? It can be unified, it can be standardized, and all those things. So it helped immensely on that front. And let me tell you, we had to pause the implementation, say that we need to pause it for some time, think through, standardize processes, come back, right? Because those people were saying, why you have 10 businesses, 10 different processes, not needed, and we agreed not needed when we realized that, okay, why is it even needed, right? So I think a lot of good things happened on that piece as well.
When you implement any HRMS or any software, some implementation time they ask for designation master. मैंने कहा वो क्या होता है designation master? ठीक है पता था क्या होता है, but you have to check it out. So what people used to say, the HR people, आप active data चढ़ा दो कोई designation master. मैंने कहा when you keep on creating every time, so you have to standardize all the designations, all the departments, because you have to pick from the master that this designation, that is, so that the complete mapping is even HR people don't know what to implement.
It's very important what Asim said, to think through. We tried implementing a KRA platform, right, Manish? And we got through. And in our last organization, rather, we had a bonus-based incentive that was paid 6 months.
and that was based on our KRA targets, and it was paid to the leadership group only. So again, acceptability and agreement comes there in the picture. So it needs to be written in black and white, and otherwise there was a lot of argumentative conversation that used to happen. So we brought in a tool. In fact, the group brought in a tool, and we documented the KRA. We took 6 months to finalize the KRA. By the time it came to see the rating, and we realized that on KRA the ratings are not beyond 30%, 40% for anyone. And when we calculated our bonuses on those 30%, everybody was out of the room. Nobody accepted that HR. This is totally crass. This is not working. And all the day and night effort of Manish, or almost 3 months that we were entering KRA for the entire leadership team, US, India, UK, all the global team went in train. Literally. Because we finalized everything on Excel from all the global team, finalized with their HODs, agreement happened, it went on mail 3-4 times on Excel, once finalized, then we voted it on the system, it posted on the system. After 6 months when we sat on it,
So at the end of the day, you
acceptance and agreement, adaptability. So acceptance on the leadership platform is also very important. If you're bringing in money and budget is not important. So you need to think.
So my question is, if it's an approval taken on mail, it's a buy-in from the leadership, right? That's all. Then you are
Initially they said yes, it should be, because the process wise it looked very fancy. Process wise it looked very fancy, no?
So you embedded in the system.
The moment it hit the bar, it was there.
Yeah, here is a measure. Everybody's performance is being measured in black and white. So that's all your percentage.
It was the bonus part of it.
Or whatever you PMS, 360, 180.
We will not like if you contact. I mean,
That is everything. Even if HRM is not, then also it will be not accepted. So HRM is का तो role ही नहीं आता ना फिर यहाँ पे. That is irrespective.
So that is precisely what she is also saying. That agreement and fine.
And all the numbers there were in 7 to 8 days, right? So they did not agree.
Yeah.
The role of HRM is there was to justify.
So
what it did was, it said you are a 40% capacity boss and you are not, and that's why our company.
That's what I'm saying. Agreement and adaptability are two important key to bring in any platform in any organization. It's just not the budget. Acceptance from the leadership team to follow it on themselves also is very important. As a leader, when we say no, I should walk the talk.
In today's scenario, half of the jobs are created on the budget.
No, sir, I'll tell you, this is not now. In 2009, Pfizer
cost factor involved in implementing the HRM.
So I'm sorry, I'm interjecting. After a minute, I have to transition to the next segment.
This one was stated. In 2009, Pfizer, everybody knows there's a fintech company here, Pfizer, right? In 2009, just because Pfizer US used SAP for the finance and other administration, they brought in SAP in India. After 3 months, they realized that my Indian employees are not trainable on SAP and they cannot do their everyday financial transaction on SAP. At the same time, my employees are not trainable to put in their applications on SAP. They rolled it back to the normal thing. We rolled it back to a normal thing. So I saw SAP in 2009 back.
Amazing. So I know we are very passionate about every single topic which is there, and I'm very happy to actually have such an amazing conversation.
Let me just touch upon one major differentiator. Everyone talks about people leave organizations because of management. But look at the exit interview and the quality of exit interview. What happens? Total shame. The person is absolutely locked. He does not want to share because he doesn't want to burn bridges. But the person who is taking the exit interview is also not trained how to go and how to take out capital from stake. Now, change the scenario. A bot is taking the exit interview.
She will do that also. Today's employee will not, because when you have a FNF after 45 days, nobody risks it.
Let me add here. It has changed organizations. They have shared their perspective with how drastically the quality of information which people were readily sharing. Because the initial guard was down. A machine है. There will be no bias.
Correct.
सुनेगा.
इंटरजेक्ट नहीं करेगा, लिसनिंग स्किल तो है ही नहीं. Seriously, that's the fact. That's the problem. We become defensive. तुम ऐसे कैसे बोल? No, we got this process, that process. Whereas in the bot, you tend to open up after some time, and then you feel that okay, when they are claiming that everything will be protected in terms of secrecy, they open up. And they open up beautifully in terms of exactly you can pinpoint the root cause.
Great insight.
Why? What triggered?
After 3 months, everybody will open up.
Oh, फर्क नहीं पड़ता ना. That is because who has the time to go after them, chase them.
But they are also worried about their background verification.
But companies review, they get to know.
This is an
No,
interesting.
I want to just, did we ever do analysis of why people leave organizations?
That's only to
Growth and competition.
Yes.
That's the only. So not
Any analysis that
No.
we are only making
growth.
I have seen companies start doing it. I myself have stopped doing it because it's always because of the cost.
No, this is, let me tell you, this can be a topic for another 1.5 hours of conversation. I am very passionate to contribute to this, but I'm just holding myself back on that front. So I'm sure many of you are also doing that. Amazing, very nice. So now moving to the next segment, and we have touched upon some of this piece, and this is the last segment for the day, and the risks that you see of over engagement of technology, AI, specifically in particular functions. And I can start with a few of my thoughts. I'm hiring in the US, and while we are wanting to implement AI in screening here, and I know that so many big organizations have faced lawsuits in US because they are doing screening through AI, right? And this is the first time that I read about it, and I was like, man, we never think about such things in India, right? So this is just one of the many risks that you may be knowing. So I would love to hear your thoughts, right, of risks that you see, not just of AI, but of over engagement of technology specifically. And I think Manish is wanting to say something.
Yeah, on this, thank you. I think over engagement of technology is like something, there's a pressure. On the previous topic, I would like to highlight this, but this is the relevant thing, right? Organizations make new policies, new budgets, they approve certain new technologies and tools to implement. How many organizations gave that budget not in terms of cost, but in terms of man hours to the team who is implementing it, to the team whose services or whose support will be required to the implementation, and ultimately it's out of their KRAs, out of their day-to-day tasks, and no one is going to give that much importance in that implementing. So first failure comes in there. So if you talk about more than 100 accounts, I can just do an analysis and come up with this RC only. There is no one who is taking ownership as a part of their key OKR or key KR. Like, I have to make this tool successful other than the 1 or 2 people there. Similarly here, whenever organization spend a budget in 7 figures or 6 figures in any tool, then the budget approving function or the implementation team have that some kind of intrinsic pressure. You have to make it successful. To make it successful, people should be engaged on it. So if you have launched a R&R tool or engagement tool where people should share their mood or thoughts, right, how they are feeling today, it's a KR of HR team to go to all those 500 people and ask their feedbacks on a daily basis, right? Similarly to other tools, I'm not sticking only to the HR function tool, but any engagement tool, the right topic you ask, right? You launch a new engagement tool or a new mood happiness index tool or how your organization pulses, right? And ultimately your 1,000 employees, 2,000 employees have to put in manually their mood. And someone has to be deployed there, but organization, have they made a manpower allocated to that? Have they made a resource allocated to that? Make it happen, because technology will enable whatever your thoughts are. You need someone to enable that technology on the shop. So this is what my submission was to the previous topic and to this topic, so that we can continue chat maybe on this.
Yeah, please, Samir, you want to add?
So we're talking about the risks.
Correct.
If I get your question.
Yes, absolutely.
So the biggest risk that you also talked about is actually facing lawsuits. Honestly, many organizations countries and various geographies that we operate have different rules and regulations.
Correct.
Privacy is one of the biggest rules that is a violator in AI, and a lot of tools are actually not allowed. For example, let's take the example of China. Right? They're not allowing Google to operate in their organization or to operate in their country.
True.
Google is being massively used elsewhere, but it is not used in China. They have their own search engine because they have privacy-related rules. That is your biggest deterrent in usage of technology. You have to make your technology smart to understand and implement within the realms of the laws of that country also and your organization also. And if you are able to do that, you can very smartly use resume or AI without violating the laws. And we are doing it without violation of the laws. But if you are, if you do not have the knowledge of the laws of that land and you are utilizing people's personal information through those AI tools, I'm sorry, you are actually not, and you're not masking. And that is where the clever use of AI is.
Especially in HR operations where we have the most confidential information.
Yeah, you need to be very thoughtful, and this is the biggest risk we have, and you will tremendously impact the bottom line of your business if you are using AI tools without thinking about the risks of usage of that AI, because you will end up having lawsuits and answering to that.
And as an HR people, we all have one slogan, one culture, one organization, one people, right? That comes to a risk when we use AI tools excessively, because now we are going into a hybrid and virtual mode, right? And we have people employed in the organization from all cultures and schools. When we implement any engagement or maybe any forum or forms for any users without thinking through technologies, universally it will not be applicable to everyone at the same time in the same format. So we need to have some intervention somewhere where we need to cross-check whether it is applicable to that person in that same zone or not. We can have some generative AI implemented there which can do that segmentation for us. But again, there's a human intervention required to segment that. Otherwise, this one culture thing doesn't get applicable. We may, in fact, end up hitting emotionally somebody or impacting somebody who's a good, technically very good employee, but emotionally he may get distressed by the kind of content or engagement that we're doing. So to respect the personal emotion, because we are in HR, so we need to respect the human emotions.
I like the emphasis.
Yeah, human. We need to respect their emotions, their culture. We need to be very, judgmental while using the technology. Should not be blind users of the technology just because the company ने पैसा बचाना है तो बस implement.
Also, as Rashmi mentioned, that they made a performance management tool and it was like to display results which was not acceptable to anyone. Most of the time it would happen. So over reliance on those metrics and tools and calculations, percentage, finally the performance or appraisal so called is going to be different and will be on a lot more other factors than what is being fed into them. And a lot of it is recency bias also.
Performance management, your data reliability depends on the other department. कितना target बना, कितने finances आए, मतलब you have to have that data.
Also not on that front. For example.
And that will be what I think he's trying to say is that will be just one part of the puzzle.
Yeah. So for example, this was the criteria for performance and and maybe a month back, 2 people of his team has left.
Right.
Now his appraisal is going to be different. Not based on that metric, because guy becomes critical.
That's a progressive process.
All this is not going to be completely the tool thing, right?
You will add situation analysis also.
Probably.
And as Parul had said, everything, we are all in a transformational journey. So those kind of situational analysis and scenarios, we will keep adding.
Yes. And with this transformational journey, one important thing is keep
the equation is not counted into that criteria.
Right? We need to keep our employees and the HR trained, very well educated on any technology that we are implementing. Otherwise, transformation will become a fiasco for the organization.
I think this is a very important point.
If you do not train and educate on time before implementing, then can take their buy-in, it will turn out.
Absolutely.
So on a humorous note, when we were implementing HRMS in a past one of the organization, the person who was heading said, when you buy an iPhone, do you need training to know how the different functions in iPhone need to be used? I don't need to train people.
Yeah.
Right? But that I realized was not the best thought. And people were not adopting.
Actually, director, one of my director in my earlier organization said, when you come to technology, सर किसी ने तो उसको फेसबुक और क्या बोलते हैं वो इंस्टाग्राम भी तो चलाना सिखाया होगा, कोई ट्रेनर थोड़ी आया था।
सर टेक्नोलॉजी में बातें सब करते हैं, सबके हाथ में स्मार्टफोन है आज की डेट में, आप देख लो चाहे वो बुढ़ा हो चाहे बच्चा हो।
Right.
जिसको फेसबुक और ओनली इंस्टा चलाना आता है वो
The only difference is if you have bought iPhone by your own choice, you installed Instagram, Swiggy by your own choice. No one has emphasized on it, right?
True.
But that tool has been implemented by the company and imposed on you. So that the keyword
And that
is
will
the
show you
change.
the mirror. And that will show you the mirror again. One important thing. That's true.
And because of the data.
Yeah. It will bring
Data
up
is
the key
equal.
data matrices by transparent.
Whether you want to learn, the
Yes.
willingness to learn,
Yes.
it's not a a skill issue. It is more of a will issue.
More of
Yes.
Will issue, right?
Absolutely.
True.
So my adaptability to the change transformation, to the HR transformation, to the world evolving, the Gen AI, the world landscape of HR changing, it all comes to a will issue.
Absolutely. How many people?
Captain Shabinder is pointing to that.
So, the burning issue of any organization today is how to manage the Gen Z and millennials. What is their major problem? Why are they so low on two critical aspects, EQ and SQ? And simple thing, you observe your kids. What do? When they have a fight, what we used to do now, when we used to have a fight, what they do, significantly different. Block. that is their reaction. Done. I'm through. You mean block? How dare you? Very low views. They don't know how to handle people socially because playgrounds have gone.
Correct.
That's where you pick up those skills. You fight and then you join hands. You play team games. Gone are the days. How many people have the luxury to go to the club and play games? These are reality.
True.
And that's the reason why when you look at the organizations which are younger comparatively, all those cases of burnout which is now fad, mental health, not able to cope up because you have this baggage. Okay, I am this, so I defy to accept what is being told. Without understanding that there is a way to go about it. You have to go in it. It's like it's fixed in their mind. I have to become CEO at 35. So if I follow this track, I will not. So I have to defy all the rules, break all the rules. So technology will not help you here.
True.
You need a human interface. How to? Because these are very, very sensitive and emotional issues. There will be many times where these kids will break down. I have bought this thing. It is going to be like standard. Okay, good. You can do this. That's not the solution.
And what only works up is what is being needed in the background. It doesn't go beyond it.
At the end of the day, a human behavior.
It's not
We use
intelligent.
Darwin box. We have figured all our policies. So the chatbot response still the question is very much related to the policy. The moment you ask a question which is HR related and which doesn't have any keyword from the policy, it will say we'll transfer your question to the HR executive. Will take 24 hours to respond to it.
हमारे में थोड़ा सा different है.
हमारा वो call center ओपन जाता है फिर.
हमारे में थोड़ा सा different है. So we are saying again use of generative AI. What we are saying, the response that is coming, I am still learning. So whatever you have fed me, let me add this to my dictionary. Once I have more details. In the meanwhile, please go to this document and see if this helps you.
नहीं मतलब कैसा है कि ऐसा
Which is sensible, I guess.
Yeah. Did somebody see this movie on Netflix, Control?
I haven't.
Anila Pandey.
I
Did you see that will exactly explain it to you what an she wants to get over that guy. She chooses an AI bot for it, who kind of tries to replace the boy.
Right.
I don't know if somebody have you seen it?
No, I know the concept.
Yeah.
I know the concept. Yeah.
Okay. What?
There have been Hollywood movies around it, right?
Yes. It actually puts her in jail. She goes to jail and then she comes out of it because the AI starts responding to messages which is not, she's not really doing it. The AI is doing it for her. It's controlling her emotions, her body, her language, her typing speed. And she lands up in jail. And how she comes out of it?
Initially, I thought that the AI has fallen in love with her.
No.
But then later on, I like, no, this is very good.
Yes.
My God, it's like
You talk about complete control, and it's you talk about risk, what it can do. This is what exactly it can do. It can land you up in jail. I mean, what I'm trying to say is it can really get you
Don't love anything.
use it properly.
Give you an example of that.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a very interesting point you brought in. I was reading an article very recently, 2 days back. One of the robots, they are, and again, this is our very good China that is doing this. With no bad intention, it's training the robots, asking one of the robots told the fellow robots, are you sure you want to do this? And the robots followed suit. No, we don't want this. Okay, follow me. And then they close business.
Oh man.
And this is the physical generative AI that they are use casing. This is a new terminology now that they are using, physical AI in generative AI space. So robotics are also becoming clever, and they are trying to understand human behavior and reading human thought process. And you are okay. Just like Gen Z, you're giving that example of a millennial. You're saying, follow me. Forget about everything, let's close business. हमारे बिना तो काम नहीं चलेगा. 12 robots quit. And amazing. I was spellbound by seeing. I've never seen anything like this. पहले हम कहते थे, why is a robot needed? Today, why is a robot getting fired? I mean, where are we actually heading? So that's how technology risks are.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah. Again,
And just to add to what Rashmi was saying about policies and AI reading it, by the way, I have had a very different experience. My HRMS team implemented it and just informed me, and informed later. I tried, and ChatGPT was just launched, to be very honest. So I was flabbergasted. It was giving responses so accurate. I thought, what has happened? Who has done this? How can it know that I have a competency lead? And if you have challenges related to career path, the first person is to talk to the competency lead. And I was not even aware. I later realized we have put it in one policy document, right? And it was guiding it so well. I was flabbergasted. And I was like, please bring the person who has implemented. I first want to know where have my policies been gone, right? and no, not so far. Just that who all knows about the policies first of all, right? And how is it using exactly the words which are related to my organization? Not every organization uses competency lead, right? We had a role holders named competency lead, over which there were practice leads, and it was giving very contextual answers. And I was like, man, something is fishy. And then they told me, no, it is not fishy. I was like, awesome.
It is called LLM.
Yes.
They are using the linguistic models.
Large language models.
And that is what my area is also doing.
Correct.
That we are learning. We are in the phase of learning right now. So
I think
learn what you are
should
saying.
probably have made public.
Let me just learn what you are trying to give me. And if coming to over a period of time, we will make sure that this information is also realized. So
That goes to
and that's how beautiful the models are.
Maybe ChatGPT now download, let me know the policy of, let's say, Sapien for XYZ. Will then 80% policies of the ChatGPT will be about.
The more you feed to the AI, it will give you more implementation.
So that's what I said.
It's becoming smart to smart.
Technology is very good, but if you do not use it religiously, if you do not use sense and do not train people how to use it.
I'm sorry, I'm interjecting. I think the food would be waiting outside for us. So we'll have 2 minutes, 2 or 3 minutes more at max. Right? Point.
One challenge the AI scientists are facing is eventually you train an AI algorithm to the real world is not perfect. The AI is also being used. Two examples to it. They were training the AIs through social media and the AI become racist.
True.
Second thing was running our own profession, HR ka. They were trying to build some HR model through it, and it picked on the gender stereotypes. It picked on the usual jogi organizational disparities.
This is the first lawsuit I heard about.
Yes. So I guess the more complex it will become. Chunki real world is not perfect. I don't know where the AI will draw the boundary.
So on the danger front also, what we do at times is when it is sensitive information and we need to consult ChatGPT, we'll switch off the learning side of it. So that, for example, we'll take our company name and asking, how is this policy or whatever, or probably some legal suit we wanted to discuss about. So we had to really switch off the learning thing. कि information बाहर नहीं जानी चाहिए ये, कि where this could be tried and all that. So we do, that is potential risk probably because you can't really tell everybody or so a lot of your people maybe in the organization, we have got about 20 to 50 people. You can't really check everybody कि किसने ये question पूछने से पहले learning off तो नहीं किया. And this data becomes public about the organization probably. And how probably the people think.
So
Big risk.
When you are there, the camera is on, right? Can detect your gestures, expressions, body language.
So it's like there's a company called My Anatomy. They have demoed here too. AI-driven interview skills where you take an interview because we told them the challenge that you're taking virtual interviews, so lip reading and somebody else and the way you said, reading it, mouthcasting are very common issues. How do we say? They brought in an AI tool. If you take interview through their portal, there's some AI detection. The way they read your retina and lip reading, if it is not syncing, it will indicate you there and there. Where which all point the lip missed and which all point the retina was not there.
Most of the proctor
implement certain psychometric tests or certain tests before.
Any general technical test is a
They capture your picture and pretty
My Anatomy has brought that AI-driven interviewing platform.
All proctor tests have done this AI-driven lip reading, lip syncing, all that. They have. This is now very good.
Proctor test is one platform. Interview में lip read, retina and lip reading is something.
Sare proctored.
I took the first demo of it and I was actually astonished.
Many use cases recently, there was some beta deployed. Which blocking technology through here, that the moment you smile, it gives you a certain percentage as coin.
You don't smile.
If you don't smile, you will not get that.
So I'll close the session now, and even though I would not like to, but I have to, right? So before the close, I would be requesting before closing the session, and while you are putting in feedback, I will be requesting Manish to convey his thoughts, right? Because he has been hearing us all this while. So any thoughts, Manish, that you have?
No, it's first of all, it's just the official closing up of this. We'll
Yes.
continue this discussion and the topics over the dinner table.
Yes.
Because dinner is also on time, as we all are. Thank you everyone once again for sharing this such an insightful and thoughtful experiences, maybe which we do not find in the general world or maybe like in the common wherever we are getting some learning. So these are some personal experiences and learning which we have heard from all of you today on various topics. Though I understand maybe with the shortage of time and respecting the time limits as we have conveyed to you, we would love to honor that time only like 7 to 8:30 and we'll continue this discussion over the dinner table. Once again, I am thanking on behalf of all of our team and thank you so much both of you as well for arranging such a wonderful discussion with such an insightful leaders here in this room. And before we move to the dinner table, we'll take 5 to 10 minutes here. We'll have a small presentation ceremony and to honor all the guest members today. And with that, we'll just move to the dinner table and keep continuing on this formal and informal channel of communications.
I would say we are a privileged group here, taking as the first batch of the Xchange Talk. So thank you so much, Manish and Singh, for inviting us.
I also run a talk show in the name of, I'm a part of Faridabad Association, which has stayed Faridabad. So I run a talk show which is named for HR, where we learn. I keep it on Sunday mix of first class, where we learn from each other experience.
Very nice. Very nice.
Sometimes we connect with you.
Absolutely. 100%.
Yeah, take no space for the ladies. Sunday go office. Monday.
No, I'm really pleased to have this conversation with all of you. I'd like to have Manish and even though we would definitely have a chance to talk on the dinner table, right? I really enjoyed the discussion personally, and I'm sure most of you did. So thank you so much. I will rather thank Manish as well later. And thank you so much for including me. Right? Even though earlier I was wondering, man, I have a lot of things to work on. Right? But now I'm very happy about this.
And I also would like to say that being at such an early age of my career, like just started, and attending this kind of session has just increased my horizon. Like what HR is actually about, like the future, like and what are the things I actually need to work on, especially AI or machine learning.
Just one, just one thought there. So, I don't know how many of us have attended the HR conference.
Yeah.
So, I think so, definitely these roundtable conferences, it's a closed network group. So, the interaction, the board of interaction, the insights that you have in these roundtable conferences really contribute in terms of ideas, in terms of insights, in terms of people with strategies which can bring back from our organization and add value. So we go back to our organization, we explore. Obviously, those these big conferences that you have, they're all in a church. I mean, it's all scattered, it's all scattered. So we attend some, we don't attend some. It's chaos there. So I think these roundtable conferences, which or Polestar HR has taken initiative, initiate these conversations, these conferences. I think have the legacy of carrying forward. I'm sure the organization will really benefit out of it. We as HR leaders, we bring it back to organization and obviously connect with you all